a certain way about it,
Yes.
and then you felt very disillusioned afterwards.
Yes.
I was on Iraq, the opposite. So in Iraq, I led the campaign against the war
Bless you.
in the UK. In fact, when a record number of people marched through London, nearly 2 million, they were carrying Daily Mirror placards that my newspaper had given them. And I'm very proud about that. And I was proven
You should be
by history to be right. That was completely wrong. COVID. It was interesting. It really changed my thinking about these things. In COVID, I got very, I think, overly emotionally engaged because I knew people who were dying of COVID, and it was awful. And in Britain, we handled it very badly. I led down a line which I wish I hadn't been led down. I'll give an example. When the scientists said, if you have the vaccine, you can't transmit the virus, I believed them. And I became wrongly censorious, really badly censorious. I was saying to people, if you don't have it now, knowing that if you have it, you can't transmit the virus, you're going to go and kill old people, and kill people. It's not about you, it's about the people you may infect and kill. And it turned out to be completely wrong. They later said, months and months later, actually, there's no difference whether you have the vaccine or not in terms of transmitting the virus. And at that point, I realised I'd been misled completely.
Had you already gotten the vaccine?
Yeah.
Did you know that it made you impotent when you got it? I heard that.
That's not true. I can confirm that's not true. Here's my point.
Such a dick. I can't control myself.
No, that's why I like you. That's why we get on so well. An interesting point about both of them was that we were both kind of introduced by institutions into taking a position about something, which turned out to be wrong. And it really has made me, I just think coming out of the pandemic...
Yo, what's up, smiling face with hearts, nice stream, keep it up. I really enjoy this game and would love to connect and support you. Add me on Discord. Brand boosts 1.
Yeah, but, you know, if you don't wind up ashamed in midlife about things that you've done, then you're lying to yourself.
Yeah.
We should all be ashamed of our shortcomings, and really the question is not who is wrong, the question is who admits it.
Yes.
And it's like AA. I love AA. I have no interest in drinking. I would never drink again just because I don't want to. But I do like going to AA because the price of getting in is admitting like that I'm kind of pathetic and I have no idea what I'm doing. And once you admit that, that sets the stage for true honesty.
When mounted on the back of a Wind Rider, one sees that its reputation for strength and speed is well earned.
It enhances you specifically, and I love that.
I think, yeah, and I'm not sure that 20 years ago I would have been prepared to admit big mistakes. Now I think it's very liberating.
It's the most liberating.
To just say, you know what, I was wrong. I was wrong, and I was wrong to be this and wrong to be that. It's not only liberating, it gives you more credibility moving forward. People think, you know what, fair play. You're prepared to admit you're wrong. I just don't see enough of that, do you?
Well, how could you have self-respect? I mean, I do it for internal reasons. I can't respect myself if I think I'm a liar, and I've certainly...
Bot Rix has correctly joined the channel.
You know, you lie when you get caught doing something. Oh, I'm not doing that thing, you know, but you are, and you lie. But you can't feel good about that. I do not feel good about that, and I don't think anyone does feel good about that. So,
people use as a stick to abate you. That you're always like, I'm just asking questions. And I always laugh when I see it because I'm like, no questions. Isn't that literally the point? And actually, there's no harm in asking endless questions. Isn't that what we should be doing?
It's like, it's one of those assumptions that's so core to my beliefs, both religious and civic beliefs, that it's like, if the idea that that's a bad thing is just like, I can't even comprehend it, and it's, in my opinion, utterly discrediting. Someone's like attacking you for asking questions. Why is that not allowed? I'm a free citizen. I'm not your slave, actually. I can ask any question I want. You know what I mean?
Did you, when you interviewed Putin, for example, which I, as an interviewer, I found it a fascinating thing to watch in full, because especially his first question when he just went off he went, I was infuriated. Right. I mean, obviously he was sort of filibustering. That's what I thought.
Wait for her here. Come on. Yeah, she's coming home. Come here. Come here. Vieni, vieni. Vieni por bien. Yeah. Wow. There you go. There you go.
I was attacked by people like, how dare he talk to Putin, our enemy? No one asked me whether Putin's our enemy. Why is Putin my enemy? He's never done anything to me. He's never called me a racist. Oh, you're a Putin puppet. I'm not. I'm an American. But there's no reason. I have no reason to be mad at Vladimir Putin or anybody else until they attack me or my country. And I just don't accept that. There was never a vote. We're a democracy. In my country, we never had a vote on whether, we, as a matter of policy, there's a bunch of lunatics, some of whom I know personally, Tory and Newland, and full-blown wackos, these enemies of democracy, decided one day we can take out Putin because I'm mad at him. For some reason no one ever explained. I'm just not going along with that. Because I live in a free country and I don't have to go along. And so anyone telling me that I have to go along with it, I immediately just tune out. Like, I don't care what you say. Your opinion is totally irrelevant. That's how I feel.
Have you ever considered running for office?
No.
You never would.
No way. That's not what I do. I mean, I don't want to have power.
What do you think?
I should be trusted?
How do you describe what you do now? What are you?
I'm someone who's trying to understand what's happening to the world. And I feel really driven to do that, but I'm not exactly sure why, and I don't need to know why, but I feel that way. I want to understand what's happening in the world. And I want to know what's true and what's false. And I certainly don't. I don't understand what's happening in the world, and I don't know what's true and what's false. Every day I come up against this. We talk about it all the time in the car with the producers on airplanes. Is this true? I don't know. But that's what drives me. I want to know. I want to discern truth from falsehood if I can, knowing that you can't really actually, until you die, know what is really true.
And if you were to succumb, in mid-pool of a gigantic fish on the river in Maine, if that happened tomorrow, how would you like to be remembered?
By my children. Fondly, that's all I care about. And my wife. Yeah, I would like it if they were like, he was hilarious. He was a good guy, actually. That's how I feel about my father. He's still alive, but I love my dad, and I will always love my dad. And as long as I live, I will say, what a good man my dad was. And I really feel that way very, very strongly. And it's my greatest wish that my children feel that way about me.
Here lies Tucker Carlson. He was a good man and hilarious.
Yeah. That's what I want. I have very low aims. I don't seek glory. I just seek to be, he's a good guy. I liked him.
I think you're a good guy, Tucker. Known you a long time. You've always been very good to me. I always say about you that when I left the Morning Britain, and Markle, as I call it, you gave me the chance to have my say afterwards. You were the first one to ask.
That was the most insane thing I've ever seen. And when that happened to you, I thought to myself, actually asked one of my producers, what did he do? And they told me that he publicly doubted Meghan Markle's saintliness or something. Like, I don't think she's actually Jesus.
Now I'd have to leave if I believed it.
I remember thinking, first of all, this is the craziest thing. Whatever this is the peak of it. And second, Piers Morgan will be in much better shape in his next life. And it's turned to be completely true.
I've never felt happier professionally.
Yes.
And I do right now, where I now have my own YouTube channel. I own, everything about it. I'm my own person. The only person that can fire me is myself. I can't rule out that will happen. Inappropriate behavior, I'll fire myself. But I actually, it is incredibly liberating. And maybe it's an age thing, or maybe it's just a societal thing where my son, 31, 27, 24, they just don't watch mainstream media at all. They don't read print newspapers, they don't watch television. They actually watch stuff like this, and they want to know what to make of the world. And they rely on people like me and you and others in the space to tell them, actually, this is what we really think.
Yes.
And they buy into us as individuals rather than a massive sprawling network that has all its kind of restrictions, limitations, biases, and so on. In the end, with me and you, it's just whatever we think. Right?
Charlie, can't be jumping, Bubba.
It's the best. Yeah. And if you start by admitting I've gotten it wrong, I will again. I'm going to try my best. And I think people believe that because it's real.
Yeah. Okay. Great to see you. Well, I'm going to switch. Chuck is going to grill me. Hopefully not about Churchill.
Today we're going to be checking out Go Muffin, a brand new cozy fantasy MMO on the go. Honestly, it looks super cute. I'm really excited about this. I've been looking for a great game to play like on the side of my other games and stuff and work that also allows for some quick and easy progression even when I'm offline. This should be really good. So I want to give a huge thank you to Go Muffin for introducing me to the game and for sponsoring this video. It is going to be released for everyone to play on December 3rd at 4 p.m. PST. Not too long after this video releases, maybe a day or two afterwards. You are absolutely going to want to click the link below to pre-register on the Google Play Store or the App Store, or you can just search for GoGo or the App Store, whatever you want to do. Either way, players who pre-register are actually going to get some awesome rewards once the game officially launches. You're not going to want to miss out. Let's jump into it. Okay, starting off, you actually get to choose one of 5 different classes here. You got the Shadow Lash, which honestly is probably what I'm going to pick. Normally,
we will stand bravely, we will live proudly, we will dream boldly, and nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours, and our golden age has just begun. That was an extraordinary bit in American history.
I think that absolutely there's a Trump fact. Everybody talks about it. A change in dynamic, and the fact that Trump said, I want this done before I get into office was very instrumental.
I think he's the face of the end of wokeism. The American people are pissed off. So America went with the bad guy who they thought was at least listening to them.
The Democrats tend to think that this strategy of denying and pretending it doesn't happen or isn't happening is somehow a successful strategy. It clearly is not.
Here's when I heard that Dale King clip, it just reminded me of how utterly out of touch Democrats are.
I can't believe that on MLK Day, let's count the number of people of color in the room and not the content of people's characters.
Yes.
What is important, so we all remember
Exactly.
every single
Right there is a massive problem. Trump is now the 47th president of the United States. Today marks the formal beginning of Trump 2.0, a history that ultimately judged this whole decade and injured in an accident, turn your pain into rain.
Are you tired of these gimmicky turning heads? Well, that's just not who we are. At Logan Months and Months, we're serious about our clients' needs. Focus on getting results for you. You've been injured in an accident, give us a call.
You transport your motorcycle? Check out this Hallmaster 600-pound capacity motorcycle carrier.
Beyond the age of MAGA, Joe Biden, and looks like a blip, forgettable and fleeting waypoint in a whole era defined by Donald Trump. Two men couldn't be more different in style. In substance, Biden's done little more than pave the road for a man his entire presidency was intended to stop. Biden warned America that Trump was a dictator in waiting who threatened democracy itself. We didn't really believe it. Why else would he ride along the new President and First Lady en route to the ceremony at the Capitol this morning? He ended his single term with dire warnings about the oligarchy of the ultra-wealthy. He didn't see that as so much of a problem when the Harris campaign was burning through its $1.5 billion. All of the Democrats complained with the US tech moguls seated together at today's ceremony, right beside the incoming cabinet, were in lockstep with their agenda. As for President Trump's comeback, the days of the dire warning are done. Biden leads with the lowest approval rating of any president in history. Trump begins with his own record high, and all of the polls show that a majority of Americans are now optimistic. Trump will make them richer, make the world and America a safer place. Barack Obama was famously the hope president. Nobody will ever forget that. But in defiance of all logic and against all odds, Trump's even gone one better. Hope is the belief that things can improve. Optimism is the expectation that they will improve. Now it's over to President Trump to deliver on these great expectations. Has the golden age of America, as he put it, really just begun? Well, we're about to find out. Anyway, we want to say from the historic day with my all-star panel. First, Bill O'Reilly, the author of Confronting the President, returns to our sense of Bill. Great to see you on this day of history. No one knows more
I
about
know
American
not what
presidents
connection
than
you
you.
have with my
What do
brother,
you make of the speech?
but it would seem he has trust with you, adventurer. I am Nataka Longhorn, and would like to welcome you to Ghostwalker Post. We have many needs of an adventurer. Talk with others. Perhaps there is need of you here. The smell of cooked fish has long been missing here at Ghostwalker Post. The trolls at Shadowprey Village are the best at catching fish. But alas, with all the centaur activities, I have little time to make a journey to the trolls. Do me a favor and journey to Shadowprey Village. Talk to the local fisherman Ginar Zillan and bring me back my favorite bloodbelly fish. The road south of here will take you west to the troll village.
To beat the centaur, we must use their hatred against them. We will ally with one of the clans, and through them, we will learn how to defeat all the clans. If you choose to ally with the Magram, then slay their foes, the Gelkis. This will earn you respect among the Magram. When you earn enough, then meet with the Magram spokesman Warug on the outskirts of the Magram village in southeast Desolace.
Greetings, adventurer. You bring news from Orgrimmar. That is good. The demon infestation overwhelms this area even more than the smell of centaur dung. The horsemen claim this land as their own, but clearly there are influences out of their control that will crush them if not kept in check. It does not please me that we aid the centaur indirectly, but it is for the good of the Horde, so I do my duty for the war chief, even if it means helping the warlocks within the Horde.
Ah, yes. Aid from those loyal to the war chief is always appreciated. My name is Morin. I am here at the behest of Keldron and the war chief Cub Thrall. It is my desire to aid the youngling leader against the evils that threaten his rule. Come closer, adventurer. I shall explain to you my plan for removing the festering boil that is the burning blade. These runes are indeed a language, adventurer, an old language. They seem remotely similar to the Eridan language, but the differences are drastic. If I am not mistaken, this is a contract of some kind. Here, yes, this symbol is the demon's signature, Lord Azrithok.
That spell isn't ready yet. I need more mana.
Scorpion Lasher. Dude's here, I know.
I can't cast that yet.
Dude's here, I know. Thank you.
It's too far away.
Holy shit.
I'm out of range. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. That's still recharging. Not enough blood.
moment in history.
Yes.
Because most presidents in their inaugural address, they don't go in for the kill. Trump is the exception. He went in and he laid it out. He said, didn't use the word disaster. Every time these people screwed up, these people hold true, these people are weak, these people are corrupt, and these people are 5 feet away. That was an extraordinary. Boy, so we bet, man.
Every good plan. Hard luck, man. Low fellas.
Of American history.
Let's take a little look at a bit of that.
The radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. We now have a government that cannot manage even a simple crisis at home, while at the same time stumbling into a continuing catalog of catastrophic events abroad. It fails to protect our magnificent law-abiding American citizens, but provides sanctuary and protection for dangerous criminals. We have a government that has given unlimited funding to the defense of foreign borders, refuses to defend American borders, or more importantly, its own charging. From this moment on, America's decline is over.
I can't cast it.
Time, like you say, not just Biden, actually. You had Kamala Harris, you had you had Bill Clinton behind them, Hillary Clinton, all Democratic top tier. Watching this guy annihilating everything they stand for. One thing that struck me, Bill, really resonated with was obviously he's going to deal with immigration, and he's made that very clear. Obviously, he wants to get the cost of living crisis to a better place. Again, that was pretty clear. But it was his claim that he wants to have a revolution of common sense. I think that is one of the underrated elements to Trump's big win, is that many people came to the conclusion that the Democrats just almost denounce common sense. And Trump was the response to it. Let's take a listen to what he said.
It's too far away. That spell isn't ready yet. I can't cast that yet.
With these actions, we will
That spell isn't ready yet.
the restoration of America and the revolution of common sense. It's all about common sense.
I think that's a great line. Common sense, I mean, it's what you used to be all about, right? And still are, but it's like, and that's what I hope I try and be. A core of common sense, a revolution of common sense in a world increasingly has felt like it's gone completely nuts.
I'm out of range.
Well, there is no doubt in the fact that President Biden is now
Charging.
radical progressives in the White House. And common sense does not enter into their political point of view. They're in it to redefine American society, and people watching abroad need to know that. Not about problem solving for the radical left, it's about changing everything.
I need to get closer.
From gender to immigration to Green New Deal, change
I can't cast that yet. I can't do that yet.
They do not fight it one bit. And the result is that Joe Biden will go down in history as the second first president that we've ever had, next to James Buchanan, the coward who was in office before Abraham Lincoln. But what Trump said today in his inaugural address was a litany of what got him elected.
Yeah.
It didn't change anybody's mind on the left. You know, I'd say 40% of the American public hates Donald Trump. It's a lot. Didn't change their minds. They're probably hating him more now than they did this morning. But Trump's mandate, and the only thing he cares about, is fulfilling his campaign promises.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that the most important line in the 30-minute inaugural address was on immigration, when he said he's now going to use the power of the federal and state governments to expel criminal migrant gangs. Trump's expulsion today was under the criminal intent, not all by the people trying to make a life. He did not say anything about that. And as I predicted 6 months ago, that is what's going to happen. It's not going to be a roundup of, migrants who are working in hotels. That's not going to happen. It's going to be a very targeted focus. And I'll tell you, President Trump's going to bring a world of pain into the liberal precincts of this country. He will.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. He's going to do exactly what he said he'd do. I felt another powerful moment was when he talked about, and we'll play the clip actually, because I thought it was very profound. He talked about surviving the assassination attempt and how he feels that's now empowered him.
Those who wish to stop our cause have tried to take my freedom and indeed take my life. Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again.
It's a great line. I got to say, I do think he means it, believes it. I spoke to him the week after he got shot, and we had quite a long conversation. It was the night he went back on another rally stage, and I was full of admiration, but just the sheer guts in doing that so soon after he was being killed. And he talked a lot about how profound this moment had been for him. And I really have to take to since I've spoken to him a number of times that he is a slightly changed man. He's not going to change the style, the rhetoric, all that kind of thing. I don't have a time. But I do think he feels like he's got another chance here, not just the presidency to do it better perhaps than first time round, but also for himself to actually leave a historic legacy as a great president. I think he would love to do that.
Well, that's his goal. I mean, that's what he's obsessed with. So they had to get some emotion into the speech, and that was it. You have to humanize the speaker, and that's it. But I can tell you with certainty, because I know this, because my role in America is reporter, analyst / historian.
Right.
And on a number of occasions, President Trump said, what do I need to do to get on in Mount Rushmore? I said, you're not going to get on, you'll have to buy your own mountain. And you can do that and put your face up there. But if you want to be in that crew, the top of the stars for presidents, you have to fulfill your campaign promises. You have to bring sanity back and get this woke stuff. And you'll notice he did the gender. People underestimate around pernicious this woke DEI stuff has been on regular Americans. I call it. Yeah. When you go for a job interview or for college admissions, and you're being judged on the color of your skin, that's what happened to African Americans at one time in our history. That is happening to Caucasian Americans. The fury of that has been underreported, underanalyzed in this country. And Trump knows that. He obviously making a very, very strong statement that I'm going to stop this unfairness. So I don't know whether Donald Trump's going to succeed in the next 4 years. He has a pathway. He made a blatant reference to the Biden administration defending foreign borders, i.e. Ukraine, failing to defend American borders. That is huge.
Yeah.
And it's not that hard to stop it. It isn't that hard to stop it. And Trump has got Mexico now. He's got them. They can't fight him. They have to do exactly what he says. Panama has to do what he says. Copenhagen has to do what he says. We're not going to absorb Canada, who would want to. Countries fear him. And they should.
I think, Bill, finally, that when we look back in 4 years' time, Trump wants to have that legacy. we just discussed, do you think he will achieve it? Do you think we could be talking in 4 years' time as Trump? You know, you're the perfect person to ask with all the books you've done. Has he got it in him, you think, to become a truly great American president?
Charging.
Possibly so. Because there are going to be so many new things that nobody's anticipating, particularly in the technological range with this AI business. China really is that can derail him. Otherwise, Putin is going to make a deal, and Ukrainians aren't going to like it, but no comment down. Iran is on the ropes. They're going to, Trump will take them out. China, they just unsettle the entire world. So I can't say with any kind of certainty what will happen. I'm a fact-based guy. I'm ahead of it. I'm watching it. I have access. And I will report it honestly. And I appreciate you, Aaron.
You have done well, adventurer. You have shown honor and dedication. When our campaign in Desolus is done, the war chief will know that you aided us in our actions here, and that you helped make his will manifest. I thank you.
The Shadowstalkers were unable to slay you, adventurer. Impressive. Most impressive. This scalp will do nicely for my spell. While you were away, I was able to gather some of the other reagents needed for the spell. I am almost ready. I only need a focus for the spell. Something to project an image of the Demon Lord and his whereabouts.
So,
I can't believe it. I can't believe we're finally getting together. In the back of a van in a parking lot. This is very creepy. I'm just glad you're not in.
Well done. This swift act against the Kolkar is an effective show of strength. And strength is what the Centaur understand best. The death of the Kolkar leader will not only disrupt that clan, but give pause to the others.
And you've had a lot of time to reflect on all of this. How do you feel watching Trump there, having done 4 years, very controversial, very polarizing, then he lost 4 years in a wilderness, at least 2 of which we all assumed he was dead and buried politically, and now, after the most extraordinary year, where people try and jail him, they try and kill him, and so on, he emerges with this thumping victory, and he's back there today, becoming president again. What do you feel about this?
Well, first of all, the throwing me out of the media establishment is part of the repudiation that people have with what's been going on in America. It's why Trump is back. The establishment throws me out because they're so desperate to get him, right? And then that's just the beginning of Trump derangement syndrome and the beginning of crazy. And then it gets crazier to where we are now. Trump sees this opportunity and he absolutely sticks his foot in it. And I think people are believed in a major way that Donald Trump stood up to what this giant wave of progressive liberalism that was killing us. People were becoming silent liars, Spears. They were afraid to say how they truly felt because you know what? You could get fired. You could lose your entire livelihood. Anything can happen. It got that crazy. And Trump is the first one to stop it. And I think he's the face of the end of wokeism. I feel very hopeful. I'm grateful that he did that. And now going forward, look, he's got some ideas that resonate with people. Trump is a little bit erratic. Can he lead this merry band of soloists, solo artists he has there, like Elon Musk and Bezos and all these guys in Vivek, and if Vivek is still around. But he's got all these incredibly oddball but really smart people in there. Can he lead them? I hope so.
Yeah. Joe Walsh, everyone is billing this as the kind of the beginning of the end of wokeism.
Time is money, friend!
Actually announced, that the woke mind virus has now been cured and so on. It does feel like, as you watch Trump railing there about everything from immigration to gender and so on, DEI, with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris sitting there stony-faced, that this election, it does represent, it seems, like a sort of extraordinary repudiation of all of that stuff. Do you accept that?
No, Pierce, I think it's just a course correction. Look, the far left has issues and the Democratic Party has issues. You know where I stand on Trump. He's an utterly horrible human being, one of the worst. fact that he won tells us the real issues the Democrats have. Yeah, the far left has issues with speech, political correctness. But guess what? So does the far right. So does the MAGA right. So does Trump, who wants to sue people in newspapers who say weird things about or sue pollsters that deliver polls that he doesn't like. Look, the reason Trump won is simple. The American people are pissed off.
I can't pass that
with
yet.
good reason about a lot of things. Trump's a demagogue, and he lies to these people every single day. But the Democrats have ignored these folks who are pissed off. So America went with the bad guy who they thought was at least listening to them.
You know, it's funny you say that on a day when Joe Biden, once again, has done something that he vowed to the American people he would never do. He's just issued all these preemptive pardons for Dr. Fauci and so many others, and at the last second, he suddenly did the whole family. They all got preemptive pardons too. His siblings, their spouses, and so on. This is exactly the kind of thing, Joe, which unfortunately for Democrats, it's all going to be used as an ongoing stick to beat the Democrats with. Biden in the end betrayed you, didn't he?
Well, you know what, Pierce? Like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, I would have agreed with you. And I would have opposed this notion of these preemptive pardons and Biden pardoning his families. But I'm sorry, this is the world Trump has brought. We live in this world now. Trump breaks every rule there is, and any law he can break. So the Democrats decide, okay, I'm going to go down that road too. I'm going to fight back. Donald Trump, Pierce, runs for office and says, I'm going to put my political opponents in jail. Well, that's fairly unprecedented. So I don't blame Biden for...
Hang on. Sorry. Joe, just to be clear, in his speech today, Trump said he wasn't going to do that to his opponents, but he reminded the world that that's exactly what his Democrat opponents have spent the last year trying to do to him.
Pierce, you and I will, over alcohol, rebalance the Justice Department. We'll disagree with this until the cows come home. Donald Trump tried to overthrow an American election. Do you not want our agencies to investigate that? Trump does bad things, and then we get mad at the departments that investigate him. That's a bunch of hooey.
All right, let me bring in Elizabeth. You've been putting some great things in statements there, which would suggest to me you don't entirely agree with him. To start with his claim that Trump's a very bad person, one of the worst people in the world. I'm going to say I've known Donald Trump a long time, and I'm not claiming for a moment he's Mother Teresa reincarnated. But I do think that there's a lot of good about Donald Trump. He's a very loyal guy, as many people will attest. He can be very funny. He can be very human. He's a very good father. Everything I've ever witnessed to is a very good grandfather, and so on. There's a long list of things which, if you were being dispassionate about it and fair-minded, you would say, actually, Trump could be a pretty good guy. There's another side to him, which we all know, which could be more complicated. He trash talks people in a way that people don't like. He does stuff which winds people up, and so on and so on. And he has some policies which are awful, as all presidents do. How do you best describe him, Elizabeth, to people who don't really get him? You spend a lot of time around him. How do you see him?
Ready yet?
There's a lot to unpack there. Number one, my apologies for the faces. My husband always says I don't have a poker face, and I guess that is coming out right now. Look, to start, I have spent quite a bit of time with Donald Trump. I think the best way to describe him is authentic, right? He is a real human being, and with that comes jokes you may not like. You may witness a few actions you don't like, but he's also real. He's honest. He tells the American people how he feels. He says it like it is, and despite what anyone thinks about him, the American people obviously disagree, right? Because he just became the president of the United States. So you can call him every name in the book, but millions of Americans obviously disagree and just decided he should be president of the United States. So I think that's where we can leave that. I think when it comes to claiming that Donald Trump is going to go after his political opponents, it's laughable considering what we just witnessed for the last few years, considering what I have seen on the sidelines happen to President Trump himself, happen to his family, who I know very well, happen to his staff, happen to people like me. I haven't talked about it. I've kept quiet waiting for today, right? Waiting for Donald Trump to get sworn in, but they went after me too. They went after me. This DOJ wanted to crush any opposition that they had because they were so terrified of Donald Trump being as popular as they knew that he was, and the moment that we all witnessed today, Donald Trump becoming president again. The fact is, he stood there, said he would not go after his political opponents, was sworn in today in front of a crowd of people, many of which not only hoped that he would spend the remainder of his life in prison, but worked to make that happen. And he said he was not going to do the same thing to anyone else. You can lie about it all you want, that is not what he said. And I cannot wait for him to prove everybody wrong. Be the president the American people deserve.
Yes, I mean, he couldn't have been clearer. And honestly, Joe, the irony of saying that this was all something that Trump's mess, when he's literally been the victim of this for the last year in the most unprecedented manner. When you take a president of the United States, I'm going to say this one more time, through a criminal court for the first time ever that it's ever happened. And the reason you do it is because he may or may not have had a one-night stand with a porn star nearly 20 years ago.
It's too far away.
About it. It's a humiliating day for not just him and his family, but for America, the American justice system, the American presidential system. It was a
killing spree
to drag Trump through a criminal court for such a pathetic and petty case like that. And if that had happened to a Democrat, by the way, you know of how outrageous it was. Let me bring in Anna Kasparian on this. I mean, Anna, the sense I got watching Trump today is the sense I've got from speaking to him quite a lot in the last few months. I've had 5 or 6 conversations with him since he got shot. And I've definitely detected a man who is unbelievably grateful to be alive, that he genuinely understands he came within half an inch of death, and very nearly happened again a few weeks later in the golf course, which was another appalling failure of the Secret Service. So he feels that very strongly. I think that would affect any human being, anyone. But secondly, he feels the hand of history. He hasn't got a campaign anymore. All he's got left now is to deliver on his big promises, and if he does that, to leave a legacy as potentially one of the great American presidents.
I mean, I hope your interpretation is correct. I mean, obviously, being the target of an assassination not once but twice is a traumatic situation to experience, and maybe it changed him to some extent. You know, but I do want to just quickly go back to the points made in regard to the investigations. I really hope that Trump doesn't waste his time in his last term focusing on retaliation against his political opponents, so we're going to have to wait and see about that. I largely agree in regard to Alvin Bragg's prosecution of Donald Trump as it pertains to, you know, his extramarital affairs with adult actresses. I like that you're giving him the benefit of the doubt, but don't be a cheeky little devil, you. Okay, you know that he had an affair. That's why the hush money payments were paid. But I think that investigation and prosecution really paled in comparison to the classified documents case and the attempt to overturn the 2020 presidential election. I think the timing of the prosecution by Democrats in those 2 cases were very much political, and that led to empathy toward Donald Trump and actually helped him garner more support for this election. But in regard to his speech, you know, I think that what Trump does really well is he actually listens to the concerns of the American people. Polling for years indicated that the majority of Americans were concerned about inflation, concerned about undocumented immigration, and while the Democrats tend to think that this strategy of denying and pretending it doesn't happen or isn't happening is somehow a successful strategy, it clearly is not. He pays attention to what people are concerned about and he speaks to those issues, and I really hope that this is a teachable moment for the Democratic Party. So far, I've seen them refuse to take any personal responsibility for their failures and
I don't think they've learned, honestly.
Cycle.
Yeah, honestly, and I don't see any evidence so far that Democrats have learned a damn thing. I really don't. I've been seeing some of the stuff you've been saying, which is the right way to go. And Cheng, as well, has been saying similar stuff, which is that you have to recognize what's happened here, and you have to understand American people just did not buy into anything that were being sold by the Democrats. In fact, they just moved in big numbers from all demographic groups to Donald Trump. Let's just start from that. Billy, I want to play a clip. This is about Trump talking about DEI and sort of wokeism and the gender debate and so on. Let's take a listen.
This week, I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
That spell
Now,
is
Billy,
ready
I
yet.
can imagine a lot of cheering around America when they heard that. Just a bit of clarity on such an absurd debate. We got to a stage where you had the President of the United States and his Vice President, Biden and Harris, both endorsing the obviously grotesquely unfair scenario of biological males who identify as trans women competing in women's sport and then beginning to dominate women's sport in a way they never did when they competed against men. And that alone, as someone like me who's basically more liberal than not, pretty much a centrist, it was so ridiculously absurd to endorse such a ridiculous policy. When I heard Trump say that, I wanted to punch the air. Great. We have some basic science-based clarity. But what did you feel?
Well, I just feel like, remember his commercial this past, in the campaign was so powerful this fall. The one that said Kamala Harris is for they, them, Donald Trump is for you. I mean, that was the biggest, I think that moved the needle more than anything. And we're coming out of an era where people are afraid to say anything. Trump is not afraid to say that. Most people are thinking it. Back to the point that was just made a second ago, the Democrats don't know what they're doing. They're still on their heels. Not really true. There's Congressman Ricky Torres from New York, and you've got Elise Slotkin, the new senator from Michigan. She talks heavily about these conversations about DEI and gender ideology and all these things. They're not happening in the middle of the country. Okay, they're happening in Los Angeles, in New York, and the coastal cities. And we, normal, former blue dog Democrat type people, moderates, are letting it happen. The moderate that let it happen more than anything is Joe Biden. I mean, he came in a moderate his whole life. And then all of a sudden he's handed this agenda. He jumps right in. He's all in. He's now at the forefront. And it's come back to bite him. But there are a lot of Democrats, I think, who are getting smart about it. And they need to wait a little bit because the Trump wave is right up here. But they'll have their moment to get normal again.
Yeah, I mean, Joe, what was very interesting to me from the inauguration day was who got kind of pride of place and with their spouses, actually, compared to the Congress people there. With all the pro-oligarchy, Mark Zuckerberg from Meta, Elon Musk, obviously, from X, along with many other things, Jeff Bezos from Amazon. These were guys who, back in 2016, they were queuing up to whack Donald Trump, and their platforms were leading the resistance. Now you're seeing a complete role reversal, where they're all going down to kiss the ring at Mar-a-Lago before the election. They're all donating money. In Musk's case, he went full on Trump to get him elected with 200 million followers to his own X account, pumping fuel that was just an incredibly significant thing. You look at people like Joe Rogan and others as well, and what they brought to the party. We're seeing a real, someone described it earlier, it's a cultural revolution in America. People leading the culture debate, leading wokeism, the deep dive, social media platforms. I've now done a screeching use. And it really is. If you look at what Mark Zuckerberg said 3-4 years ago, what he's saying now, it is literally night and day. Chalk and cheese. What do you feel about that?
Well, none of these guys, Pierce, have any ideology. The oligarchy, the billionaires, and should agree with me right now. Hopefully we all do. This is one thing both of these two political parties have. Both political parties, Donald Trump on the right and the Democrats on the left, they all bow down and kiss money, interest. But Pierce, look, this is a pendulum. We keep talking about some swing against wokeism. Most Americans are in the damn middle. Whenever you bring up the transgender issue, Pierce, you bring up biological men playing in sports with biological women. I agree with you. Most Americans agree with you. Common sense solutions, but you know what? Most Americans embrace the idea of our transgender brothers and sisters. Loving, let them live, let them identify as they want to live.
Okay, but here's what I would say to that.
I agree.
But Joe, don't get me wrong. Joe,
let me finish.
Okay.
When it comes to sports and bathrooms, you're right. There are common sense solutions that the Democrats blew off. But you listen to the MAGA right on transgender Americans, it's a mental illness and they don't even exist. That's not where most America is.
Okay, Elizabeth, on that, I mean, I've always been very supportive of trans people's rights, fairness and equality, right to the point it erodes women's rights, right? And I think that is where common sense lies. But to Joe's point, it's not unreasonable. I have seen a lot of pretty blatant transphobic rhetoric being spewed by some people, right? Well, not a lot, but some people. But what is your message to those people? Because Trump spoke today, for example, about the importance of unity. He wants to be a peaceful president, one that propagates peace, not war, but also unity.
Look, I actually think we do agree. We're showing a lot here, right? Breaking news. I think we all agree. It's ironic that people disagree with the concept that is Donald Trump because they hate him so much, but deep down actually agree with him on almost every issue. The fact is a lot of people ran against Donald Trump in 2016, who were a lot further right.
It's too
So
far
a lot of
away.
horrible things, by the way, about the LGBTQ community and lost. Same thing happened again in 2024. The fact is Donald Trump won. Donald Trump won being the first Republican or the first president at all, by the way, to go in supporting gay marriage. He has always said that he believes everyone should do what they want to do, whatever makes them happy, until it infringes on somebody else in their life. He's very supportive of gay rights. I think, like you said, sports issue, the bathroom issue, this is where most Americans agree. This is where Donald Trump agrees, and that's why he won. It's almost a non-issue here, right? The fact is, he won the presidency against Kamala Harris, and he won against a bunch of Republicans who are a lot further than him, especially on this issue. The fact is, you're 100% right. The majority of Americans agree. That's why Donald Trump is our president. That's why I think most of us here on this panel agree everyone should be treated fairly and with respect until it hurts somebody else. It's so basic. It's fundamental.
When our cool shiny trucker arrives at your house, it's a sign of a new beginning.
Yo! 3, 4, and 5. Excellent. I asked for 5 tamed kodos, and I get 5 tamed kodos. I am going to be rich. Yes, very rich. I hope to see the look on Bibley's green face when he hears about my success.
I'm proud that Donald Trump is the Republican candidate right now and has said that from day one, despite the fact that many people don't give him credit.
I mean, nothing, to be honest, could support what you just said more than the fact that what has become the most popular dance in the world. It is a dance by the group
spell's not ready yet. I can't
which is
cast that
literally
yet.
a gay anthem. The man is trying to say it wasn't. But the truth is, I remember when it came out, it was the gay anthem of the world. And last night, Donald Trump ended his final
drink it
tweet,
yet.
for a better phrase, by literally having the original British people to dance.
Dude, man, what the fuck?
With them. I mean, if you're a homophobe,
I should have
you
fucking
do
thing Death Trap.
Do you?
Donald Trump is going to go after gay marriage. I don't think he's going to go after gay people. He didn't do it in his first term. He didn't even attempt to in his first term.
Alright, I don't have
So
time for
I
this.
believe that he will in his second term.
GG, I didn't
I think the
fucking press my
allegation of him
buttons.
being